I'm Josh Wooten. Welcome to another edition of the Chamber Report. Of course, I'm the CEO of the Citrus County Chamber of Commerce, and our guest today is a great friend to the Chamber in Citrus County, Doug Dodd. Welcome aboard, Doug.
Thank you, Josh.
Of course, most of you knew Doug, a long career with the Citrus County Sheriff's Office. How long were you with the Sheriff's Office?
I was with the Sheriff's Office 26 and a half years.
You don't look old enough to have been there that long, but you retired with the rank of captain.
Right, I was a captain, and at the time I was overseeing professional standards division, and I retired, and shortly after I retired there was an opportunity that came up for me to seek a position on the school board, and I've always enjoyed working with kids, and I've enjoyed education. I've got a master's degree in education, actually, and so it was a nice fit for me, and so I ran for that open seat. Pat Deutschman at the time was not going to run again. She'd been on the board for 4 terms for 16 years, and so I lived in that district. And so I decided to run for the school board District 3 seat, and I won in the primary.
And that was in 14.
That's correct, yes. And
so you're 2 years in.
Yes, almost 2 years on the board, yes.
So you had a long career. What got you interested initially in law enforcement?
Well, when I was in school in college, I was looking at a degree in business administration and finance, which I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in, but I minored in criminal justice, and I really did love my criminal justice classes, and I wanted to do something that I really enjoyed. I knew I'd like, and so I came home and went through the police academy and was hired at the sheriff's office. Then Sheriff Charles Dean hired me, and shortly thereafter I went into the schools to work as a school resource officer, and so I was able to work in the schools. I worked as an SRO for 10 years.
So you kind of had you loved criminal justice, but you loved education. So
yes, and while I was working as a school resource officer, I went back to get my master's degree in education, and that was before online schools, so I actually had to go and attend class the traditional way. I went to University of Southern Mississippi. I went for 2 summer semesters. I did some coursework at University of Florida and also at University of South Florida, and but I went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Spent 2 full summer semesters there. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good move for me at the time, and of course then I still loved working in the schools. I was all about education. Obviously, my career kind of went a different path because I continued to go into the administrative side of law enforcement and was promoted to sergeant and lieutenant and captain. And but I've always had a heart for our schools and for students, and so it was a nice opportunity for me, and I'm glad I'm on the board.
Well, and there was speculation, I mean, with your talents and education, that one day you would run for sheriff, and I think it took some people by surprise that you really followed your heart into education.
Well, and that's true. I would say that. And so much of things in life are about timing, and this was just a good opportunity. And I had made the decision, wrestled with it, but the Lord was really working for me to look at some changes in my life, and that's why I stepped down. I love working for Sheriff Dawsey. He's a great sheriff, and he really kind of molded me, gave me opportunities as a leader, and so but it was kind of like something I knew that was time, and like I said, shortly after I did that, this door was opened, and that's where I am now here at the school board.
And if you have that faith and you listen to that, that interior speaking, you usually go in the right directions.
Yeah.
And if you don't, what is the right straight with my crooked lines? Yeah. Well, you find out pretty quick.
Right. Yeah. And so when one door closes, I think God opens another door, and it was just something that I love working with children, though, and I love encouraging kids, and encouraging teachers too. As my job on the school board now is to be almost an ambassador for our public education, for our school system, and I want students to have opportunities. I want parents to have opportunities, and of course we've got a great group of teachers. Our school superintendent, Sam Himmel, has done a great job. She's got people in leadership positions that are very qualified.
Well, let's give Sam a shout out. For the citizens think so much of her, they've given her another term unopposed.
Yes, she was just reelected without opposition.
Without opposition, so we can look for 4 more years of her leadership.
Right.
You know, you have a good board. I mean, it's a relatively good board with other boards around the county. We won't get into all that, but y'all seem to be able to really work together in harmony, and you have huge issues. To those of us that pay attention to the process, y'all have huge issues that you're facing. But it seems that you're managing them in a way that give people confidence, because you don't hear about all the controversy.
I think our reputation has been good, the way we've managed the budget. I mean, we are the largest employer in Citrus County, 2,200 employees. You know, we've got 15,000 students in our schools. And
Mrs. Hemmel addressed the chamber not too long ago, and she talked about the R in the restaurant business. How many meals?
Sure, yeah.
How many meals do
we
you
feed? Yeah, for our students. I mean,
the business end of it.
Yeah, there's a huge side of the business end, and for me, having that degree in business administration finance has helped me there too.
There's a business element.
And just like at the sheriff's office, I mean, there is a business element with the budget, with managing the public dollar, and I think the school board has done a good job. Now we have some hurdles to get over ahead on the revenue side that we're discussing now, and you know, those are things we need to really bring to the public and tell them, hey, you know, these are the facts, this is what's going on, and let the public decide. But our school board, we work well together. There's only 4 right now on the school board. One of our school board members, Sandy Balfour, resigned to take the administrative position, the principal position at the Academy of Environmental Science, which is a public charter school. It's a charter school we have in Citrus County, and so that position has not been filled by the governor, and it will not be, from what I understand, because we have, you know.
Yeah, well, now you have candidates that have lined up to be elected in either August or possibly November, depending on how the August goes.
Right. I think there are 3 candidates that have qualified, and if one of them does not get 50% plus 1 vote, then the top 2 will go
advance to
the general election.
So I guess at this point, that's the right thing to do. Let the voters pick their new school board member.
Right.
So that's logical.
You know, it was the governor's decision, and he chose, you know, at this time, I mean, technically he could still appoint someone for the term, because the term goes through November, but, you know, we don't foresee that happening.
No, I don't think, by the time they got up to speed, I don't think it would work. Well, the revenue, I want to drill a little deeper into the revenue, because you have speaking of the August primary, you have a referendum on there. You all have voted to put a referendum on there. So I want to first of all, talk about some of the challenges, and then how you think that will solve some of the problems.
Great.
We'll be right back with Doug Dodd, former captain in the sheriff's office and current school board member. Welcome back to the Chamber Report. I'm Josh Wooten, your host. Our guest today is Doug Dodd, Citrus County School Board member. And when we took a break, Doug, we were talking about the enormity of the school system, you know, that the amount of students that come to your campuses every day. We talked about it's the largest restaurant business in the county by 100 times. I mean, 20,000 meals or something, I think I heard, with breakfasts and lunches. You run a transportation system that's larger than any in the county with the buses. It's a big business. I bet you that business degree comes in handy when you're pouring through that budget.
Well, when we look at our budget, it is something that has helped me, and you know, it's good. You know, any member of the public can go online to our website and look at our budget. And so it's out there, it's published on the website, it's there now if people wanted to go and look at the budget. Now, we have not approved next year's school budget yet. We're in the process of that now.
When will that occur? That's going to occur over the summer. You're going to be going through the budget?
Right, that'll occur in August, and so we'll have that information out, and that'll then be posted once it's approved, and that'll be out there. You know, if anyone ever has any questions, though, too, about our budget, we're open. You know, Tammy Wilson's our finance director there at the school board office. Mike Mullen is the assistant superintendent. Call one of those people, call the superintendent. I mean, we're not hiding anything, and as we look forward, as we move ahead and we look at the issues, the budget issues that we face, we want to be open to the public, and we want to present our case, so to speak.
Now, I believe y'all are the
citizens.
largest taxing authority in Citrus County as
Yes,
well.
we get the largest piece
You
of it.
exceed the BOCC.
Yes.
And a lot of that is mandated by the state. Am I correct in saying that?
Our entire
like
operating-
your flexibility is nothing like other taxing authorities.
Not at all, no. The state sets the local required effort, the tax rate, the millage rate for schools. We have a 1.5 mil that we assess for capital outlay. It's limited to 1.5 mils. The state had 2 mils. Back in 2008, it was 2 mils. If we still had 2 mils over the last 7, 8 years, we wouldn't be in the position we're in now. But it has been reduced to 1.5 mils.
And they did that legislatively?
They did that legislatively.
Which the legislature tends to do. We're gonna cut taxes, but we're not gonna. It's not gonna affect us. It's
Right.
gonna affect your local schools and your local counties and.
Right. But in order for education to be equal throughout Florida, so the wealthier counties don't have all the great schools and the poorer counties have all the bad schools, there is a program in place in the state of Florida that balances all that out. And that is how the state sets the local required effort, and that's how they determine where all this money that goes in for education is then given back out to those school districts to kind of equal the playing field.
So you were able to levy 2 mills prior to you coming on the board.
Correct.
7, 8 years ago.
That's correct.
The legislature changed that to 1.5.
1.5 now, yes.
Is there an option that the voters can vote on to bring that back up?
There is an option. We would have to present that for a referendum for voters to vote to increase the millage rate, a 1/4 mil. That's what we can ask for, is a 1/4 mil. And that actually passed one time in Citrus
It did.
County. And that's every 2 years. So for me, I do not like continuing to tax the property owners. And so I am not for an increase in property millage. I don't think it'll pass again. It failed the second time. The voters voted it down for a tax increase on property taxes. And so I think as we are looking for a sales tax referendum that we're going to present, that is a great way for everyone to be able to contribute to our schools. And we also would look at the benefit of having non-residence tourism. Tourists that come into the county would help fund some of that. It's done in all these other counties in Florida. Very few counties don't have an additional sales tax. It's 6% is set by the state, and then the state allows counties to put referendums before the voters to increase that.
Well, the Chamber of Commerce is studying this because there's that 1/4 mil, there's that there's the lack of having impact fees in place right now. There's other things, but I've met with administration, school administration, because we like to actually do our due diligence before we
Sure.
go running around spouting off things. And basically, because of the lack of revenue over several years, those two things, impact fees and that 1/4 mil, would not really catch you up, according to administrators that I've met with.
Not at all. We've lost $75 million in the last 8 years, and we've lost over 44 million in the last 5 years. So it has taken its toll on our revenue that's coming in, and that's for capital now. I'm talking about our capital. We have an operating budget and we have a capital budget. Our operating budget goes to pay for teacher salaries and benefits and all those things that
Maintenance
take
on
up.
the schools.
Well, no, our maintenance comes under our capital.
Oh, good.
So
good.
maintenance comes under
'Cause that's,
capital.
so I'm getting that confused with impact fees, what
Yeah.
you can do with impact fees, but
Right.
capital is maintenance.
Well, that's correct. Now, some maintenance positions, if they're not directly affiliated with the school, they would come under the operating. But when we look at the needed work on roofs and when we look at what's needed to be done on parking lots and all those things, that can be funded out of our capital budget. But a vast majority of the capital goes for those needs. If they're air conditioning units, air chillers, if there are items needed in our lunchrooms, our kitchens, those things, school buses, all those things fall under capital. So we've lost a lot of money, a lot of revenue that we haven't been able to have. We've had now our 5-year plan, we've identified that in 5 years, we will not have the money necessary to pay a bond payment that we have on the Christopher River High School renovations that were done. So we're at that point now. We have to make decisions. And this is the planning process that goes on. This isn't just, oh, all of a sudden we're in trouble. I mean, we're looking 4 or 5 years down the road, but we have to plan for that now, looking at the losses, looking at our capital reserves that continue to go down, and looking at the revenue sources that continue to drop. We've got to do some things to change that in Citrus County.
Well, that leads us nicely into our break, because what the school board has decided is to go to the citizens of Citrus County, the voters, and say that we can solve these issues once and for all with a ½ cent sales tax.
That's right.
And so we're going to talk about that referendum when we get back from this short break. We will be right back with Doug Dodd. Welcome back to the Chamber Report. We're here with Doug Dodd, Citrus County School Board member, and we're talking about a lot of the good things that the school system does, but we've kind of moved into some of the challenges with revenue versus the obligations that y'all have. You said something before the break that I had not heard before during this argument. And as I say, the Chamber's studying this. We haven't come out in favor of it. We're glad that you're going to the voters to tell them and ask them to partner with you on this. But you just said something that's very concerning, that your bond obligations may be in peril if you don't find a way to resolve this issue.
If we stay on the same course that we're on now, in 5 years, we will not have the money to pay a $3 million bond payment on our Christopher High School project. Now, obviously, the school board is not going to, the school district, the school administration is not going to let that happen. But if that means we're going to have to make a lot of cuts, that means we're going to have to change. We're going to have to move a lot of things into our operating budget that used to come out of our capital budget. So what we are doing as a board is we have passed a referendum to go on the ballot for the voters to decide, for us to be able to present to the public the needs of the school district. And they will decide whether or not to add a ½ cent sales tax for capital. This is for capital expenditures. This is for renovations. This is for maintenance.
A re-roof of the school.
Yes. This is for new buses. This is for items that we need, that we have a 5-year work plan for, and we even have a 10-year work plan on our building needs. And right now we do not have, right now on the 10-year plan, any new schools. So what we're talking about right now is not adding new schools and new buildings. What we're talking about is taking care of the maintenance of our schools, and we want our kids to go to a facility that's well maintained and well kept. And we don't want to have to take money out of the operating budget, out of the classroom monies, out of the teachers' monies that are there for the kids to
pay for these things. Well, how much do you really have to play with there? If your class size is mandated and your technology needs are mandated, and there's a lot of things that are mandated, how much wiggle room do y'all have?
Well, there's, we have about $24 million in our reserves right now, and the road we're on right now, that's going to be whittled down in 5 years, where we won't be able to make that $3 million bond payment. So that's why we have to look at changing things now. And one of the things that we can do is, in order to improve some of our schools, Floral City Elementary School, for example, still has 5 portable classrooms at that school. They've had since 1995. Those are things, portables are supposed to be a temporary solution. We went into Homosassa Elementary School, renovated that school, made that school a nice community school. I want to see those community schools survive and thrive. We need to do that at Floral City Elementary School.
Have you seen a direct correlation with investment into the infrastructure of the school and bringing up the...
Well, studies have shown that learning occurs at a higher rate in schools that are well maintained and well kept. And so those are things that we owe it to our children to be able to provide that. At Floral City Elementary School, I really would like to see some changes. We did a master site plan for there. We're looking at $9 to $11 million to get rid of those portables, to build a classroom, a building classroom, instead of having kids go to portable classrooms, and to improve that school, to keep the historical significance of the buildings that are there, but to expand on that. I think we owe that to the people of Floral City. Inverness Middle School is another area that really needs a lot of work. It's been chopped up, things have done here and there to it, but it is really in need of some major renovation and repairs. We're looking at Inverness Primary School. We did this project at Crystal River High School. There's still some needs at Crystal River High School, I've been told, that would be in that capital budget as well. So those are things that we're looking at. We think that the public we serve, if they know the facts, if they see the amount of revenue that's been cut over the years, they see how well we've managed the monies that we've been given, but we're getting to the point now to say, hey, if we want to move forward, if we want to improve our schools, if we want to stay status quo, this is what we need. If this sales tax initiative does not pass, we will be moving backwards. We will be forced to make cuts. We'll be forced to look at programs in our schools. If they're not related to math, English, or science, there's going to be programs that we're going to have to look at, because we cannot spend beyond our means. If we've only been given a certain amount of money for maintenance and capital, and we have needs there that we have to meet, it's going to come out of the operating budget. And if it comes out of the operating budget, it's going to come away from the students. It's going to take away from kids. You look at technology today, the requirements that we have on technology, that we have to have half of all of our curriculum has to be digital curriculum. That means students have to have a computer device, an iPad, or a laptop. You look at the testing now that's going on. They're going away from PBTs, paper-based tests. They're computer-based tests, CBTs. So kids are having to be tested on computers. And then the legislature says, oh, but they can't be tested on the computer that they're assigned, because there's a fear that there could be cheating that would take place. So you have to have about 25% more computers just for the students to be able to test on. Those are added expense. Those technology expenses are capital expenses. We deal with security and safety issues, and I'm all about safe schools. I mean, as from being a law enforcement officer all these years, we're moving in areas I can't explain a whole lot, because there are some confidential things, but even security cameras. Those are things that we need to make sure we're taking care of our students on safety and security. These are capital expenditures. And I think we have a very generous public. I think people want to take care of kids. And I hope they will. I hope they'll want it enough to go to the polls and vote for this half-cent sales tax, because like I said, we're either going to be moving forward or going to be doing everything to just skip by, and that's not what we want for our students. That's not what I want. That's not what I want for our teachers. We want to have be able to produce a quality student who's able to either go to college or go into a vocational program. Josh, we have a lot of vocational programs in our schools. We have the Health Academy at Crystal River High School. We have an Art Academy. We have a Technology Academy that's starting at Citrus High School. These are programs that we would have to look seriously at. We would have to look at things like pay to play. If you want to be in the band, it's going to cost this much. If you want to play on a sport, these are things I hope we don't have to make those decisions on. I hope we can stay, able to provide a quality environment school and also have programs out there for kids.
And you showed me some statistics during the break that says your average citizen will pay about $10 a year if this is implemented. Yeah,
it's not a lot. It's a half cent. It raises our sales tax from 6 to 6.5%. Look at the counties around us. Levy County 7%, Hernando 6.5%, Pasco 7%, Sumter 7%. We're asking for a half cent for kids. For a family of 4, it's about $50.
We've made a very compelling case to the viewers, and if you have any other questions, contact Doug. Thank you so much for being on, and the Chamber will stay on top of this and continue to review it and educate our members.
Thank you very much.
See you next week.